Okay, I had a program called Housing for All, which talks about affordable housing. And what I hear is that the past few days there's a lot of news on housing in Singapore. I don't want to get there. But let me just quickly move on. This particular program of Ashoka is completely supported by the Hilti Foundation. I'll just quickly move on from what is Ashoka. We have spoken more about it. I belong to this team called the Full Economic Citizenship Initiative. What it means is that, in a nutshell, how do you involve every citizen to be economically independent? So how do you make them participate in an economy, no matter what their economic status is? They could be rich, poor, they could be really bottom of the pyramid. How do you get them to participate in an economy? Now, we believe that we could achieve a lot of success of creating products and services where there are large gaps in the bottom of the pyramid by what we call as a hybrid value chain. What that simply means is that you've heard fantastic stories of successful social entrepreneurs. Imagine combining them or getting them to partner with for-profit businesses, not just on a CSR initiative, but really on a for-profit collaboration to produce a product or a service. So how do we do that? Before I move on, this is probably the single most important slide. I just want your attention for 2 minutes. Now, this talks about the economic pyramid, right? All of you must have heard about there is a big bottom of the pyramid. 6 billion people, or 4 billion people around the world living in the bottom of the pyramid. But what we forget is that the bottom of the pyramid is not just a flat bottom of the pyramid. So what we have to realize when we work with the growing economies is that there is a bottom which has a pyramid within it. So there is a pyramid which exists within the bottom of the pyramid. Why is this important? Because Vijay, who is working with the rural areas, sometimes could probably encounter people somewhere in the bottom of the pyramid. But where are they based? Pratima, who works with the slums, which she just showed us a picture, are literally what we call the bottom of the pyramid. And believe me when I say this, only Pratima can help them, not any of us. So we move slightly up, where the second level or the middle of the bottom of the pyramid are these people who are like the auto rickshaw or the cycle rickshaw owners of Irfan, where they are earning slightly better than the migration. I was so loud. Okay. Oh. Okay. So Irfan's clients are people who probably come in the middle of the bottom of the pyramid. And who are the top of the bottom of the pyramid? These are people who are auto rickshaw drivers or cab drivers in India or construction workers in India. And just for your information, 86% of any population in any given city of India belong to this group of people who have no proof of income. In the sense, if you don't have a proof of income, you don't pay tax. And if you don't pay tax, you don't need a bank account. And if you don't need a bank account, you don't get a loan, and you're completely financially excluded. That's exactly the problem we are trying to target. So when we say new housing, we are only talking about the top of the bottom of the pyramid, right? A group of people who earn anything between 200 to 500 US dollars per month. Imagine earning 500 US dollars per month in India. It's not really a bad amount of money, but still you are called the bottom of the pyramid. Why? Because there's no proof of your income. How do you get a loan? You can't get a loan. Let's move on. So housing, the opportunity, just the bottom of the pyramid which I just showed you, the number of houses which are needed to house these people is 24.7 million homes. 24.7 million new homes are needed to house these people according to the census of 2001. We are 10 years ahead of that. Probably now it's 40 million. I'm just guessing. So I hope it's going to be much more than that, because even at 25 million homes has a potential to open up a market of $250 billion. That's actually the potential of this market. So what do? We have 5 principles. Very simple. We have to produce sub 1 million rupee housing, which is approximately $22,000 and below. The homes would range from 250 square feet to 550 square feet, from a no bedroom hall kitchen. There's only one hall and the kitchen and the toilet. from a 2-bedroom living room and a kitchen. And we decided to work in the urban areas, and we only focus on people without an income statement, which is called the informal sector, and we do not want to rely on government grants. Why? Because they take a lot of time. If you depend too much on the government grants, it's unsustainable, you can't scale up, and we leave the job to Pratima. So what do? So we bring all these stakeholders together to produce housing. We bring the developers who have access to land. Why we don't want to touch that? As you all know, real estate is the most corrupt industry in the whole world, right? So we don't want to touch land, because land is really the next world war, if at all, if it happens any time in the world is going to be on land, right? That's how land is becoming more and more valuable. It's crazy in India, I can't tell you. A land which is valued today, for example, at X amount of money, in just 2 years' time can become 10 or 20 times today's value. I'm not kidding. If you have money, buy land, forget gold. So you know, then these people, the developers, have never dealt with these kind of people. Have they dealt with providing housing for auto rickshaw drivers? Never. They never thought these people need housing because they are all living in the slums. So how do you get developers to build housing for auto rickshaw drivers? We realize the conduit is the fantastic Ashoka Fellow network, right? Because they deal with these communities one way or the other. Great, bring them together. That's exactly what we do. And of course, the third important person to come in is the money bags. We need money, right? Meaning these people need loans, and no formal bank, no DBS, no POSB will give them loan. So we need really a small group of financial institutions to come and provide loans for them. And of course, the most important person to come in is also the architect, because 300 square feet or 220 square feet, 5 people have to live comfortably, sleep comfortably, eat comfortably in that small space. How do you do it? Designing of these spaces is extremely important. I'll talk about it in a later minute. So we have various models of collaboration. I'll not touch upon that. We don't have time. Now, this is give you an idea of how the layout of the house looks like. Now, what is extremely important here, I just want to point out 2 things. One, you see the kitchen. Kitchen is on the left-hand side top, and then the toilets access is through the balcony, and the bath is separate. Obviously, because 5 people have to get ready in the morning, they need bathrooms and toilets separate. Thanks to Singapore idea. In the older HDB flats, it's like that, right? And it actually, you know, accesses to the balcony because they don't like the toilet to be part of the house, because they are used to having it outside the house. So this is the way to prove them it's outside. Now you see a space for television there, but what's also interesting is that in the kitchen, on the top, there is a small space provided for refrigerator. Now, how much space does a refrigerator take? Have you ever thought about it? Because we don't care, because we have 1,000 square feet homes. How do we care? What is the size of the refrigerator? But for a 300 square feet house, 4 square feet for the refrigerator becomes important. So where do you place the refrigerator? Do you need space for the refrigerator? All these questions come up. So involving the community in designing these homes is extremely important. That's my message. So what do we do as Ashoka? We provide market research. We have conducted extensive research in 7 cities covering 7,000 households already. Going forward, we will probably conduct 47,000 individual household information to give it to the developers, and finally telling them, guys, can you please wake up? There is such a huge market. Please build these homes and you will make money out of it. And the next thing is that, I'll just close with this, is that we work upon best practices, because today in India, there is no way to find out if you're getting a good house. Even in Singapore, how do you buy a condo? You go to a developer and say, oh, maybe this developer is well known, right? So maybe his houses, he would not cheat us, right? But do you know how many varieties of flooring tiles exist? We don't know. We trust the developer that he'll do a good job. Imagine in affordable housing where the margins are low, what will the developers do? Try to find the cheapest tile. But is this the good tile for the affordable housing? Nobody knows. And forget about, even we can't find it out. Imagine a low-income auto rickshaw driver trying to find out that. There's no way he can find out. So we need to create a certification mechanism to tell the customers that this is a good property to buy. So we are trying to work on synergies for that. So just to give you the 3 steps what we adopt. First is we identify where the developer is, where the land is. we move on to developing that land, finding the right design, working with the right customers, and the most important thing is to make it sustainable, right? Because end of the day, these should not become vertical slums. So we need to ensure that these buildings get maintained properly and continuously there's a vibrant community thriving. I just want to leave you with 4 keywords. The first one is it's all about building powerful alliances. And second point is that it is all about social impact. It's about creating housing which will give them dignified life. These people can never buy a house if somebody doesn't interfere in their lives. The third point is that by creating social impact, we have to innovate. Because innovation is extremely important. And the last point I just want to leave you with us, it's a huge opportunity to unlock wealth. Because I told you $250 billion, and now it's going to be $400 billion. So we have to work together. This is Housing for All, and this is me, and this is the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vishnu. Thank you.